What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Power Book 4 Force, Season 1, Episode 7, you guys. The episode is titled Outrunning Ghosts, right? I think that's the name of the episode. If not, it'll be correct on the bottom of the screen and in the description. Alright, you guys, so before we go ahead and jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and you guys are not subscribed to the channel, I mean, you guys do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss Power Book 4 Force, shall we? Alright, you guys, so this episode. The episode opens up and we see Liliana, right? So we see Liliana, she's in the club, she got the Dahlia, right? So she goes up to this guy who's in the VIP section, right? So she pushed some of the Dahlia on her lips and she kisses him, right? And he got that instantaneous high. So he says right away, he's in, right? So then we see other girls. And so instead of them doing bottle service, they're doing Dahlia service, right? So we see girls in different clubs putting Dahlia on their lips, kissing people, giving people in the clubs that initial high, right? So then we see Tommy and Claudia, right? So they're talking, and Claudia is saying that the doc can turn out the Dahlia a lot faster, right? And Tommy's like, that's not gonna be good for business. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to make it faster because that could cause a lot of issues, right? So she also wants to go bigger. He says, after they move it, they can then go wider, right? And what he wants to do is he wants to make the Dahlia available not just for their high-end clients, right? He wants to make it available for everyone, right? So he says that the price of Dahlia is way too expensive, and that they at this rate, they really won't be able to compete with heroin and cocaine, right? So Tommy wants to expand, and Claudia feels like, no, this needs to be an exclusive drug, right? Honestly, I'm on Tommy's side, right? Because granted, your margins, you guys are a niche market right now, right? You're niche. So you only have a select clientele that you guys are going to. You guys are going to want to expand your business. If you want to make more money, expand. Make it accessible to all people, right? You don't want to he said he don't want to bring the price down like, dirt cheap, right? He wants it to be somewhat affordable for anybody. If you want some Dahlia, hey, you want some Dahlia? It's gonna cost you, right? He wants to make it easier for people to get, and he wants it to be somewhat affordable. But like I said, he doesn't want it to be just flat out dirt ass cheap, right? So then we see Liliana and the doc talking, right? So also what they need to do is they need to break down, they're still trying to break down the components of the Dahlia, right? Because in order to make it more accessible, they have to kind of take out some stuff to make it more accessible, right? So Liliana and the doctor talking about the drug, right? And I think what Liliana is doing is watching the doc to see what all she's putting in it, so that way if something happens to the doc, they can reproduce it easily, right? So then the doc, her name is Lauren, by the way. She's telling Liliana like, hey, I got to get to my job, right? Because I have never missed a day of work. And Liliana was like, okay. She's like, she grabs her phone. Here, call him. So she gets the phone. She said, hand it to me. She says, what's your boss's name? She says, Richard. So, Liliana gets on the phone. She's talking to Richard. She's saying, hey, Richard. So, Lauren, yeah, she ain't gonna be able to come in today. She's got this illness that she's come down with, right? So I guess he's asking her what. She's like, now per HIPAA laws, you can't ask that question, Richard. So she hangs up. And then, after that, she says, people are going to be looking for me, right? Because I have a date that I have to go on. She was like, oh. She's like, it's a third day. And Liliana was like, oh, you was going to let him fuck. So then Tommy comes in and they stop talking, right? So the doc went away for a minute. And, Liliana did tell Tommy, what's going on. And, She tells him that, the doc has a date. He's like, oh, okay. Because she's like, people are going to start looking for her. He says, okay, guess what? You're going too, right? So then he got a text message from JP. So we see Tommy, him and JP, they're walking and talking, right? So Tommy, in his own Tommy way, he apologized to JP. He didn't apologize for what he said to JP in last week's episode. He apologized for basically his delivery to JP, right? So then JP tells him that, Miriam, she's not in, good shape right now. I think she had a stroke or an aneurysm, right? So JP feels like they should call up, old Kate and let her know about her mother. And Tom was like, fuck that, she buried her mother years ago. So absolutely not, right? And then he says, and then she gonna come down here and she gonna find out that you and I found each other, and she gonna have to clean up her fucking lies, right? And JP still feels that they should call Kate, right? Tommy tells him, JP, the person that you're looking for, that ain't Kate. He was like, but I'm going off of what you told me. JP, you're going off of what Tommy told you and your daddy have told you, right? Two people who know Kate better than you. Obviously, you might not have believed your daddy, but then your brother comes and telling you that your mama ain't shit. Two people ain't wrong about one person, right? Child, Kate is coming soon. It might not be this season, but Kate is coming. Mark my words, we are going to see Kate, right? And I'm like, JP, you should really listen to Tommy, because Kate ain't shit. You're going to find out what a piece of shit Kate is. Kate ain't who you think she is. God, Kate ain't who you think she is, right? So then we see Tommy later in the episode. He's walking, right? And he's being followed by D-Mac. And I'm going to tell you guys in a little bit about this whole situation with D-Mac. But D-Mac was following him, right? So Tommy pulled his gun on D-Mac. And D-Mac was like, I ain't strapped, man. I ain't strapped. So he's like, he told Tommy, like, you might want to watch your back because people are looking for you, right? And he says, keep your gun on you and don't get caught slipping, right? And then Tommy says, why are you even helping me, little man? He says, I got my reasons, right? So then we move back over to Lauren and Liliana, right? So they're talking about what components they need to take out of Dahlia to make it, what Tommy wants it to be, right? And Liliana was like, so what do you have to take out? She says, I have to take out the component that makes it glow, right? And she was like, that's our trademark, basically, right? Tommy comes in and tells him, take that shit out, right? So then Liliana, she's telling Tommy about Claudia, right? That Claudia is working an angle, and I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit as well. She tells Tommy that Claudia is working an angle and that it has something to do with Vic, right? So he says, find out where they are and to hit him up. And like I said, we'll discuss that in a little bit, this whole situation with Claudia. So we see Liliana. Now remember, Liliana told Tommy about Lauren having a date, right? So we see her, she got ready for her date, right? She came down and, Tommy was like, oh, okay, well, hey, y'all going together. She's like, what? She said, I thought I expected it, but I didn't, right? Child, when we get to this date, I was thinking that Liliana, because Tommy said you won't even know she's there. And when we got to the date, I'm like, how in the hell was she not going to know that Liliana was there? Liliana was sitting directly beside her. I'm like, oh my God, come on now. This is disrespectful to poor Lauren, right? She's sitting right next to her on her date. I'm like, damn, I was at least expecting for Liliana to get a table. But she didn't, right? So then we see Tommy and JP. So they're at the club, right? And they're watching, Tommy is watching Victor, right? And he sees this girl go up to Victor, right? She puts some of the Dahlia on her lips and she kisses him, right? And actually, I guess I can go ahead and talk about this situation with Claudia. Yeah, we can talk about it now. So I'm going to talk about what was going on. So what happened is, at one point in the episode, we saw Liliana and we saw Claudia. So they were talking to all the girls, right? They were giving them the rundown of what to do with the business, right? They telling them who to watch, who to watch out for. Like if you see a person in a corner nursing a drink, that's a cop. This is not enough to get you arrested, but if they take you down, they give them a card call this person, ask for such and such, and wait for that person to show up, right? So Tommy saw, the girl give Victor a hit of Dahlia. Motherfucker. And JP was like, oh, so you working tonight? He says, no, I'm not working, I'm watching. So that's that. So then we see the doc. So the doc is, she's back at work, right? And she's telling Liliana and Claudia that, it might take months to crack this, right? But at this point, they don't have that, right? So, Claudia is questioning Liliana about, what was Tommy like in New York, right? She was like, if you want to make money, that's your guy, right? So then she says, what happened to his old partner? She says, if you're asking, can you trust Tommy? You can, right? And then at one point, Claudia also asked Liliana, has she fucked Tommy? She says no. So, I don't want to talk about that. Or do I? Well, I can go ahead and talk about it. So, there are two guys that are watching Claudia, right? And I'm going to talk about that when I get to the Flynn's. So, there are two guys that were watching her. So, Tommy ended up taking those two guys out, right? So, then he went back in there. He was like, why are the two guys watching you outside? Your father's guys. Claudia knew nothing about that. That's all Walter. She knew nothing about that, right? But then he questions her about Sophie. She says, all I wanted to do was, I wanted to send a message to my father and Victor, right? Not letting them know that, you and I are working together. I just wanted them to know about this drug, right? So then we see Tommy later in the episode. He went and met up with Diamond, right? So Diamond has a vial of Dahlia as well. He puts it on the table. He asks Tommy, what do you know about this? Tommy tells him, I've heard some things about it, right? So then Diamond asks, well, do you know who's behind it? Tommy didn't say anything, right? So Diamond is interested in the Dahlia. Now, granted, he hasn't taken a drug. He says this could rewrite history, right? He hasn't taken a drug. Jannard is the one that took the drug and brought it to him, and I'll discuss that as well, you guys. So they also talk about the fact that, word on the street is that Walter was behind the hit on the Serbs, right? So it's like, so Walter finished the job that we started, basically because they went after Victor. So we're going to pause here, you guys, and we're going to move forward. All right, you guys. So we see Jannard. So Jannard, Jannard and Diamond, they're at the shop, right? And we see a blast from the past, and especially with the Chicago show, right? We see the guy that played Reg on The Shy. I was like, oh, that is so cool. I'm like, look at him. He's working. I'm happy for him, right? So I think his name is Blackston or something like that. They called him Beat, right? So he's back. So, D-Mac and Marshall, they came into the shop, right? And they have a business opportunity for Jannard and Diamond, right? So they were like, okay, Shark Tank, pitch the idea to us, right? So what it is Marshall has a cousin that's out there in Gary, Indiana, right? That's been trying to sell weight for a while, right? So what they want to do is they want to play the couriers between them, right? The fact that these two little niggas couldn't even say couriers had me dying laughing, right? So we have our typical situation when it comes to Jannard and Diamond, right? Jannard is all for it, right? But Diamond is dead set against her, right? And once Diamond left out the shop, Jannard tells them, hey, we gonna do this shit, right? Fuck what Diamond got to say. I'm like, I just feel like a lot of this shit is gonna backfire on Jannard, right? So you guys remember, I told you earlier that D-Mac was following Tommy. Well, the reason that D-Mac was following Tommy is because Jannard pulled D-Mac to the side and told D-Mac, like, hey, you flaked on me the last time. And D-Mac was like, but I gave you your money back, man. Like, what the fuck? So he says, what I want you to do is I want you to bring that white boy to me. And because he getting smoked tonight. I was like, I don't think that's going to happen, but okay. All right. So we see Jannard, right? So Jannard, they had another scene together. He was already checking D-Mac about Tommy. And D-Mac says, hey, man, once I got him, I'm going to give you the call. Like, chill, right? So Jannard says that they are going to make that move, to Gary. And he ain't worried about, because I'm going to call him until I get his character's name down. Well, I'm going to say B, right? So B says, so you not worried about Diamond finding out about him? Man, fuck Diamond. I ain't worried about Diamond. it's gonna be some shit between Diamond and Jannard coming soon. I can see it. And it's really because, and the shit that's gonna happen between Diamond and Jannard is because of Jannard. It's because of Jannard, right? Solely because of Jannard. So then we see Jannard and the crew minus D-Mac, right? So they at the club, right? So Jannard as Marshall, had he heard from D-Mac. Marshall like, I've been hitting that nigga up and he ain't hit me back. So So they're sitting in their section, right? And then one of the Dahlia, I'm calling them the Dahlia girls, right? One of the Dahlia girls comes up and he tells Marshall and B to kind of skedaddle, right? So the girl, she rubs the Dahlia on her lips, right? She starts straddling him and she kisses him, and he gets that high, right? So he's like, man, what is this shit? Like he's like, I want in. And she was, he was asking her all kind of information. She was like, I can't tell you anything, but she's like, I can't lead you in the right direction, right? So then we later in the episode see as Jannard and old girl are in the car, they having sex, right? And while they're having sex, we see we see Marshall and B, they outside of the club, right? So D-Mac pops them, Marshall in the back of the head, right? So they going at it because Marshall, mind you, while they were in the club, he was posting pictures, and B actually told him like, nigga, stop posting shit, right? So so that's what it is. So he's like, y'all doing business behind my back, like fuck y'all. So Marshall grabs his gun and points it on D-Mac, right? And B is like, hey nigga, put the gun away, right? He ain't listening to him. Put the fucking gun away. He ain't listening to him. So then, B tells D-Mac, man, take your little ass home, right? So D-Mac leaves, and then B's like, nigga, you got a gun. We are downtown. The fuck you got a gun for? And these are, see, this is the issue that Jannard and Diamond have, right? Like I said, I get Jannard wanting to still, be, have influence, right? But Jannard makes dumbass decisions, right? These little niggas right here ain't ready for it, right? They make irrational decisions, and that is what Diamond was trying to tell you. You working with some little rookie ass niggas who are making rookie ass mistakes. And I feel like it's gonna be a detriment to Jannard eventually. I really do feel like it's gonna be a detriment to Jannard, right? So then we see Adrian, right? So we see her and Diamond, they're at the shop, and they're at the shop, right? And she was telling him, how her dad would love the shop, right? And we see them having sex, and whoo, God, they sex scenes are everything. I just don't know how these actors do the sex scenes, right? So we see Jannard, so he takes the Dahlia to Diamond, right? And he's telling Diamond that, he want to add it to the business, but Diamond is very apprehensive at this point about doing it, right? Because you guys remember when we found out about why Diamond went to jail. And I get why Diamond was apprehensive, right? He doesn't want to put something on the streets that he doesn't know anything about and that can land him back in prison, right? But Jannard believes it's because he getting some pussy. I'm like, what the fuck does pussy got to do with it, nigga? Now, with Adrian, I knew Adrian was not to be trusted, so we find out that Adrian is I believe she's a reporter, right? So they're working on a story that could, I guess, get them a Pulitzer. All I gotta say for Adrian is fuck you if you hurt Diamond. So then the last thing we see with Jannard is we see Jannard, and he met up with Marshall's cousin. So business is a go between Gary, Indiana and Chicago. And it ain't got nothing to do with CBI. Not a damn thing to do with CBI. All right, guys, so now we're gonna pause here and we're gonna wrap up the episode. All right, guys, so now we're talking about Walter. For Walter to be a sick motherfucker, he is one rude ass person, right? So Walter has lung cancer, right? Polly comes in and asks him, is everything okay? Once again, Walter is hella fucking rude to Polly, right? And, Walter tells Polly that they got to be ready in case the Serbs come back, right? And Polly was like, we ain't got no beef with the damn Serbs. And Walter was like, they came after Victor, so I made a move. And Polly was like, so we're not as strong as we once were. Child, Walter don't give a fuck. Do what he says, right? So then we see Victor. So Victor is at his place, right? And he wakes up, he's asking Gloria, does she want to go here? Does she want to go there? He finds a note from Gloria. Gloria is gone, right? Gloria says that, she needs to get away for a while because they'll never get from under his family. The only way y'all get out from under out from under that family is if Walter is no longer in the picture, right? I feel like with Walter, if they cancel don't take him out, Claudia or Victor will. One of the two. Just saying. I feel like one of them kids is gonna take out their pappy. Well, as they call him, Da. So then we see Walter, right? So this is what I was talking about earlier with Claudia. So Walter wants to put security on Claudia, right? After this whole serve hit, right? And Claudia's like, I don't want security on me. He wants to put 2 guys on her, right? I put up four, the number 4, but 2. So he was like, Victor can that accent is terrible. Victor can take care of himself. What are you supposed to do? I'm like, here we go again with this sexist shit. Like, you really think that you would be surprised to know that your daughter has 2 bodies on her? Mai to the head, and her friend, what was his name? Reggie, and Reggie. And she used a gun to take out Reggie, right? Because he's like, you ain't gonna shoot a gun. I'm like, little do you know, she's already shot a gun. But go off, right? So he tells Victor to put 2 guys on her. So then we saw Victor. He was at the club, right? And that's when the redheaded girl Sophie went up to him, right? And well, at this point she hadn't went up to him. She had just got to the club. She texts Claudia about him being there. She says, "Go get him." I'm like, "Go get him? Are you pimping your brother out?" Because when she was talking to him, the girl earlier, she was talking about and the way she was talking, it was almost as if she was trying to help him get over Gloria. Girl, that ain't gonna happen, right? And then the last thing in the episode with Walter was when him and Victor was talking about Gloria. Walter does not have an empathetic bone in his body. I'm like, man, your son is telling you that his girl is gone, and you ain't fazed by it at all. Like, at all. Not fazed by it. But hey, you guys, that's the episode. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so you guys are notified when I drop anything else. Share this video, and until the next time, you guys, stay safe out there. Please take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, you guys. Wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.